do I use glue? I don't know. Hello everyone and welcome to the 15th episode of the Blind Pinterest Challenge, the series where I recreate Pinterest craft projects with no instructions. Well, that's the plan. Sometimes it doesn't work out. In the last episode I had some wins and some fails. It was very 50-50, so hopefully this episode it'll just be plain sailing. Everything's going to be great. Okay, jumping straight in, I think this one looks really interesting. It's some galaxy inspired 3-dimensional art resin coasters, and apparently you can buy them on Etsy for $45. I definitely think I can DIY that. I might try to use UV resin for this because it'll be quicker. I might do a couple of variations of that one, the galaxy themed resin coasters, but we're going to do that one today. Or we're going to try to do that one today. I should have no problems with it. I've done resin before. Since we're already using resin, I think I might try this one as well. I have no idea what they've actually used for this. I don't know whether they have used resin or whether they've just filled these light bulbs with water, but I think I can get the same, if not a similar effect by suspending dried flowers in resin in like some sort of light bulb ornament. It should be alright, shouldn't it? We'll soon find out. That's what I'm going to try as well. I'm not going to do too much in today's episode. I always feel like I get carried away in these challenges. But I am going to do this one as well, this starry light, Christmas fairy light thing. And although it says it's for Christmas, it could quite easily be for just general decoration. I do think it looks quite nice. I have no idea how I'm going to make it yet, so I'll have to give that one a think as well. Definitely think I can do something similar to that anyway. Okay, so I guess they're the 3 projects that I'm going to be trying on today's episode. I am feeling rather confident. I don't particularly have any worries at the minute. I think I can achieve pretty much everything that's in there. No, I'm not worried about any of them. So I'll need a few weeks to gather all my materials and I'll meet you back here in just a second. Well, I'm back, and it's actually been a couple of weeks since I recorded the first part of that video, and it's actually been a really stressful week. Obviously, I pre-record all my videos on the channel because I do DIY projects, and it takes me a long time to make the things and make sure that I get a video out every single Friday. Plus the fact that I work full-time as well. I work all during the week. So at the time of recording this, everything's gone to shit. The world has gone to shit. Yeah, things have like locked down and stores have closed and restaurants and everything like that with this whole virus that's going around, so it's been quite stressful, which is why I'm drinking. But hopefully by the time this video comes out, which is, I think it's in 8 weeks time, things are really bad at the minute, but in 8 weeks time, things should hopefully be a bit better. I hope so anyway. It's me being optimistic, which is very rare. But as long as everyone's keeping safe, then that's the main thing, isn't it? But going forward with my videos, I'm not sure what I'm going to be able to access material-wise and stuff. It's kind of throwing a lot of my plans out the window. So there might be a lot of kind of craft kit reviews, there might be just kind of a lot of random videos. It depends how things unfold. But I'm going to try to make good out of a bad situation and still make videos every single Friday. That's not going to change. It's just the videos might be not that great. Anyway, we'll jump into the first craft for this episode. So I think I'll start off with the light bulb ornament. And I bought 4 light bulb jar things, the drinking glasses, online. And I thought they were going to be way smaller than they were. They are absolutely ginormous. And I know I mentioned earlier that I was going to use dried flowers, but instead I just packed it full of artificial flowers because I think that'll just be easier, it'll be cheaper, and it'll just hopefully work the best. And for this project, I decided to go for an epoxy resin. So I just mixed my epoxy resin with some catalyst and give it a good old stir. And then once that was done, I just poured it straight into the light bulb and left it to set for a few hours. Now with epoxy resin, if you're doing a deep cast, which this is, you have to do it in layers. If I poured the entire thing into that light bulb, it might set, but I was also worried that it probably wouldn't set, so I did it in 2 parts. So I again mixed up some more epoxy resin and poured that into the top. However, I did notice that I had quite a little gap at the top, so I just shoved a little bit of a plant in there just to fill up some of the space. And then I let that set for a couple of days. And I've got it here, it's fully set, and all I need to do is put the top on. So we have expectation, reality. And I'm quite pleased with mine. I definitely think it looks a lot different to what theirs does in the pin. Theirs were more white and pink and very light. Mine has a lot more colour to it, and I think there's a lot more going on as well. Also, there's a giant air bubble in one side of it, which I didn't realise until I was finished. And that happens when you're encapsulating objects in resin. Sometimes you just miss bits. But other than that, I think it's turned out really nice. I'm pretty pleased with it. It would make like a nice paperweight, or just like a regular ornament. It's not too bad. But I have no idea how much this cost me. It'll have probably cost quite a lot of money because resin, it's not cheap, so I'll go tally that up now. Okay, I've done some maths because I've got quite a few leftover materials. So I've kind of worked it out in my head, but it still cost me a lot of money. So this roughly cost me about £23.90. And the majority of that money was resin. Like I said, it is not a cheap material. It's nice, expensive, but nice. But we'll pop it on the shelving. I'm not sure where. I think I'll put you just here. You might move eventually, I don't know. So moving on to the starlight decoration, and looking at their pin, I'm pretty sure they've used bamboo. I'd be very surprised if they've used something different. So I went to the shop before everything closed down and all the panic ensued. And to start with, I could only find these fences made of bamboo. But fortunately, I found some loose bamboo poles, and I think they're gonna work pretty good for what I'm trying to do. And I have to admit, I have no idea how I'm gonna make this. I'm thinking to create a star shape and then just use some twine and connect it to the ends. I don't think gluing it or anything's the right option. I think that would just be, it would just be too weak. If I tie that around there, it's gonna slip off, isn't it? I'm gonna try to use super glue rather than twine, because I think twine's gonna be, it's just gonna be a mistake. And at the end of the day, I'm gonna put string lights on it anyway, so that'll kind of, I can wrap that into knots and stuff, so I think that makes sense. Ugh. I apologise if you can't see this in frame, because it's just gonna be huge. Right, mine's not gonna look like theirs, because I'm finding it difficult to figure it out. Have they made two triangles and stuck the triangles together? That's how I'm gonna make mine, I think. Glue up at the top here. Yeah, hot glue would be quicker, but hot glue is also weaker, which is why I've opted for super glue. It's gonna take me a lot longer to make it. I'm wondering whether super glue is the right choice now. Right, hot glue is gonna be weaker, but I think hot glue is gonna just work better, so that's what I'm gonna go for. Okay, let's try this again. Yeah, I think just making a triangle and then sticking the triangles together, I think that's the right solution to this. In fact, I might move over to that side of the studio where I've got a little bit more space, and then you can actually see what I'm doing. There we go, that's slightly better. Still not ideal, but I've got limited space. All right, I've got one triangle complete. I need to make another one exactly the same. Okay, there's one more triangle glued together. Yeah, I think gluing them over the top of each other makes sense, and it looks like a star. I don't think mine's gonna look as good as theirs. It might do, you never know. I don't think it will. I sometimes wish I was live so people could tell us what I should be doing. It would be very helpful, because you's always let me know down in the comments what I should have done, but it's too late. Yeah, and if this crisis, this world crisis is still happening by the time this video is out, I hope everyone's looking after each other, and I hope everyone's looking after themselves as well. I know quite a lot of people are worried and panicky and stuff like that, and understandably as well, but I think if you just make sure you're careful and avoid people, then hopefully it'll blow over. You never know, by the time this video comes out, there might be a vaccine or like a drug or something like that to help. That would be nice. Okay, there's my star. It doesn't look anything like theirs. I've just realised I've made the Star of David, haven't I? I've made the Star of David. Not that that's a bad thing. We'll embrace Judaism in today's episode. I think that's fine, actually. I feel like theirs has more bamboo, but I don't see the point of putting more bamboo onto it. I think I'm just going to add lights to mine and call it a day. I hope these lights work. I haven't even tested them. Ah, they do. Oh, good. Okay, we'll just wrap them round. It's going to be a right pain in the arse. I'm going to have to unplug them for now. Oh, how have I got them in a knot already? This is going to take me forever. Ugh, it's like the worst part of Christmas, untangling Christmas lights. This one isn't as straightforward as I thought it was going to be. It's actually driving us crazy. Alright, I'm on a roll now. We're getting somewhere. Why? Why does it keep tangling up for? I'd be devastated if I put all these lights on and because I've been thrashing them around, they didn't work anymore. I just hit myself in the face with it. Oh, I don't like you at all. Right, there you go. What feels like a million years later. You're finally covered in lights. Okay, so we have expectation and reality, and I don't think it actually looks too bad. I quite like it. It doesn't look anything like what they had in their painting. I've basically made a Jewish version of it, which I'm not mad at. And it's quite big as well. I made it ginormous. This is for scale. But I needed some lights on this side of the studio, so I'm happy with that. But how much did it cost? I have no idea. Let's go check. Okay, so that cost me £18.98. And I don't think that's bad at all. I'm not offended by that. I will say, if you are going to make something like that, the most time-consuming part is putting the lights on. It took me an hour, but I did think it was going to look way worse than what it looks like, so pretty happy about that. Okay, so finally moving on to the final project of today's episode, and that's the DIY Galaxy Resin coasters. And I think I said in part 1 that I was going to experiment with UV resin and all that kind of stuff. I didn't. I didn't have the money to. So instead I bought myself a silicone coaster mold online. I think it's actually a cake mold, but it'll do perfectly well for this. I then mixed my epoxy resin up again and gave it a good old stir, and this time I coloured it with a black pigment. And then just gave it another good stir. Once that was done, I just poured it into my coaster mold. And then I used a combination of mica powders and glitter and just kind of sprinkled them on top of the resin before it set. And I gave it a little stir as well, just to make sure that it was all evenly distributed. Now, I didn't film this part because it was like an ongoing thing throughout the day when I was making them. And what happened is the pigments and the glitter, the mica powder, they were all just kind of like disappearing. It was going in the center and then they were just gone. So I kept adding more and more and more, and then they ended up looking like this, and it just ended up looking a mess. So I wasn't really happy with them, and I was actually really disappointed because epoxy resin's not cheap. I was off to a bad start, but I let them set for a couple of days, and then I thought, you know what, I may as well demold them. So I took them out of the coaster mold, and to my surprise, they looked amazing on the bottom. And it happened with every single one of them. I was so excited. Basically, the pigments and the glitter must have gone to the bottom and just kind of rested there, so I couldn't see what was happening. If I was to do it again, what I should have done is sprinkled the pigments and the glitter on the bottom of the mold and then poured my resin on top, but I didn't think of that. So we have expectation and reality, and I think mine have turned out so good. I'm so happy with them. They look really, really nice. Considering I got off to a really, really rough start with it all, I'm just chuffed that something went my way for once. And yes, obviously the bottoms of them don't look particularly good because I did have a bit of a disaster, but the tops of them, they just look so nice. They look very different to what was in the pin, but I'm just going to put it out there. I think mine are better than theirs. Just saying, as long as you don't look at the bottoms. But how much did these coasters cost us to make? So in total, it cost me £39.97, which is expensive, but for each one, it cost me £13.32. And I don't think that's bad at all. I think this one's definitely my favourite, which is why I'm going to keep this one. I'm going to pop it on my shelf. I'll just put it on there for now. And I think these two turned out really nice as well. And since we're all going through a bit of a rough time at the moment, I think it's time for a giveaway. Yes, if you want the chance to win a coaster, I'm going to give one to one person and one to another person. Then all I need you to do is comment down below and leave either your Instagram handle or your Twitter handle attached to that comment. And obviously let me know which one it is, because I'm not psychic. And there'll obviously be full terms and conditions in the description box below, so definitely check that out. So good luck if you're going to enter for one of these. Hopefully you like them as much as I do. They're just like little galaxies. Really, really cool. I changed my mind. I'm not giving them away anymore. No, I'm joking, it's fine. But anyway, that does it for today's episode of the Blind Pinterest Challenge. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And I'm going to pop a poll in this corner. I think it's going to be a little tradition now. And you can vote on which one your favourite was. Whether you preferred the resin coasters, the resin light bulb flower thing, or the Star of David. And I'll see you next week for a brand new video. Bye!